you have a sevenfold superpower, and you might not be using all of the potential. Let's take a look. So it's webinar 65. I'm trying to share my screen. There we go. And we'll share it full screen. So your sevenfold superpower that you're probably not using, rest. So, so for the busy, the burnt out, and the relentlessly productive, aren't we all busy? And I have a nickname for us, the exhausted overachievers. And there, I realized I don't have my lights on. But we're going to talk about ooh, the 7 parts of rest, which will actually help you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your busy, busy lives. So when you think of rest, you probably think of sleep or a nap. But and actually, I had a new thought today because we've talked about exercise snacks, we talked about nutrient snacking. So I think of naps now as rest snacking. So I'll come up with a better term for it. But that just hit me this morning. But sleep is just one portion of the whole concept of restoration. And but let's talk about sleep. When you wake up, do you still feel a little, still a little tired, a little wonky? You still feel exhausted. You just don't feel like you've gotten that full, satisfying, recharging rest. Well, rest is not a luxury. Rest is something that we need biologically. And so we're going to look at how to maximize our rest, which is our sevenfold superpower. All right. Okay, so what do we do when we're feeling exhausted and we just want to keep going? Sometimes we'll treat ourselves, right? And we might treat ourselves to something as simple as a bubble bath, or go all out and do a spa day or do a weekend away. But then what happens when you take that time away? Your inbox just gets stacked up more and more. You get busier and busier, and then you don't even want to go away for a little while because you know when you come back, you're going to have twice the work than if you stayed. So, in the world that we live, productivity is prized. And when we rest, we might think we're being lazy. And so we have to have a little mindset shift from just passive resting, which means you're not being productive and you feel guilty about taking a break, to seeing it as a strategic way of replenishing yourself. So there's 7 dimensions of your strategic energy system, seven facets of rest. And this actually, the 7 types of rest were defined by the American Psychology Association. So, and like I said, I'll put the article in the YouTube description, so you'll be able to look at the article yourself because it's very, very helpful. So, true restoration requires diagnosing. We got to figure out where are you really running low, and the main ways that we think of rest, the core engines we call it, are physical and mental. So that's 2 of the 7. Then there are the boundary filters, emotional, social, and sensory. And the inspiration wells, creative and spiritual. So those are the 7 types of rest defined by the American Psychological Association or Psychiatric Association. So the core engines are physical and mental. So what can we do to recharge our physical or to reclaim our physical rest? recharging your physical energy beyond sleep hygiene. So there are a lot of articles out there about sleep hygiene or sleep routine, but just focusing on the physical, we want to release bodily tension. So that means stretching, massage, tai chi, gentle walking. We use walking for our metabolic benefit after our meals, but also gentle walking before and exercise snacks we use throughout the day. For those, you have to get your heart rate up to a certain amount in order to make those 3 to 5 minute snacks really work for you. But a gentle walk before bed can help you wind down and maximize your physical rest. Mentally, okay, cognitive drain. How many of us experience cognitive stress, cognitive overload, and we need to take a rest mentally? So taking a break or mini breaks. So like I said, rest snacks. But here's the key. You want to take them before you're completely drained. You want to head thorough exhaustion off at the pass. And when you hit, there's something called the law of diminishing returns. And I experience it a lot on Friday nights before Saturday's webinar, where I could get more done in a few minutes when I'm rested and refreshed than I could get in an hour when I'm just trying to push through. And so there comes a time when it's really better to rest. So what can we do? Take a break before you're completely drained. Take mini breaks. Limit news consumption, screens, right? Doom scrolling, and deep breathing. So deep breathing is physical, but it helps your mental state. Now, boundaries. Your deepest energy reserves, we have to protect those reserves. So what's the difference between emotional rest and social rest? So emotional rest, stop filing your feelings for later. Authentic process your emotions. Just let yourself feel the emotions because we'll just say I can't think about that right now and push through. And then that gets just under the surface, but it starts a destructive pattern. So what can help? Therapy can help. Journaling can help. Trusted friends, just, you know, now I'm not going to say venting because there's a way to share your emotions and there's a way to offload emotional energy and to rest your emotions. Venting is not necessarily it. But people, places, conversations, we want to use boundaries when we realize that those drain our emotional energy. Socially, sometimes you just need time away from people. That's both in person and online. So, what is your superpower? 2 letter word? No, right? You don't have to clutter your calendar with events, socializing for long periods of time. You can socialize shorter periods of time and then enriching over taxing situations. So we need boundaries to protect ourselves emotionally and socially. Okay, modern input. So I mentioned scrolling before, but don't we have sensory overload so much? So you're going to be bombarded with these things. But what can you do? You can take a few tech breaks. You can turn off the phone. You can you can put the phone face down and, don't even put it on vibrate. Just turn it off. Turn the sound down. Noise canceling headphones. I I tried those No, it wasn't noise canceling headphones. I tried. I bought a new phone. This is years ago. I bought a new phone. It had a really good sound. It was the first phone that I had that had stereo output, and I had that phone playing while I was driving somewhere. And I'm telling you, I had to turn it off because I got so engrossed in the music that, I was like, well, it was almost like I was driving through a movie, and there were a couple times when the other cars in my movie weren't acting according to script. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Why aren't they moving over? They're supposed to move over. So I personally never trusted noise canceling headphones because I get so immersed in music anyway. But for some people, that's a good way to cut down. My favorite on this list is fresh air, because what can you do while you're also getting fresh air? If you're going outside, you can be grounding. And we know how important it is just for your feet to touch, your bare feet, right? To touch some grass. Now they have grounding shoes. I don't know how well they work, but I know that you can put your feet on some dirt or some grass and just get yourself grounded and release some of that energy that builds up in your body. And then 5 minutes of just closing your eyes in silence. So calming with while you're in the storm, right? While you're in the pollution, all things that are in the air, things that you're just bombarded with, you can carve out your own rest snack. Now, the inspirational forms of rest, creative rest, as well as spiritual rest. So when you are creative, you can't create from an empty well. You have to have something to, some store of energy or inspiration or insight for your creativity to flow. So pause usual demands to do things that inspire you with zero pressure to get it right. Right? Some examples in the article were visiting botanical gardens, touring museums, knitting. For me, putting something in the pressure cooker, because I just imagine all the molecules responding to the heat and the pressure and, you know, driving the flavor into the meat or whatever or coaxing the flavor out of it, whatever I put in the pressure cooker. So that's one of my creative places. Spiritually, we have an amazing world that we live in, and we miss it so much. So when we talk about spiritual rest, the article actually talked about connecting with the bigger picture. So watching God created on the macro and on the micro. So many things we can focus on, but waves, forest bathing, prayer, gratitude. Some people make gratitude lists every day. Meditation. Coach Judy has a program called Stretch and Declare, where she does her meditations and Bible verses while she's stretching. It's amazing. So all those things, just tapping into the divine, reduces stress and allows deep rest. So you can check your rest, right? How do you feel? What's really going on? And then what can you do to enhance your rest? So these would be probably my 3 secrets, right? So secret number 1, when you have a deficiency in your mental rest, how do you feel? You can't focus. Your brain is foggy and you're just pushing through. I had many 4 a.m., 5 a.m. bedtimes just trying to push through and get ready for something in the morning. And I was like, you know what? Not wise. So what can you do? Box breathing. We've talked about breathing, the benefits of breathing. Doing one thing at a time. So multitasking, technically there's no such thing as multitasking, right? You can really only focus on one thing at a time. And you can split your focus, you can change your focus rapidly, but be careful about your focus and your multitasking. Emotional or social deficit. What happens? Well, you're snapping at your team members or your family members. You're dreading conversations. Okay, there is a text that I have to write right now that I have been putting off. So I'm going to listen to my own advice and just embrace there are different techniques and different strategies. I just heard about Lagom in this article, but you could, there are many things you can do, but scheduling, this was one of mine, schedule an analog hour alone. I'm totally into that. But also, one thing I need to do is just take that one task that I'm blocking myself from doing and just do it, take it off the plate, get it done. And, I do have ChatGPT to help me. So, like I said, I'm going to listen to my own advice. Creative or spiritual deficits, you just don't feel inspired. You don't feel connected. You feel like, what does it matter anyway what I do? What can you do? That's when you gotta just pray, get in touch with the Lord, look at the stars, walk in nature, grounding. I know Joanna's on here, and she one of the first people that I suggested grounding to personally that actually took advantage of it. And now she'll send me pictures from her yard, pictures of the plants, and pictures from her walks. And I love it because it gives me rest too. So thank you, Joe.
Welcome.
All right. So here's the thing. When we are feeling the pressure to produce, we feel like, okay, if I take a nap now, I won't be getting the next thing done. Or I really need to get this to-do list going. I really need to do the next thing. And you feel it. When you are a high capacity and you feel like guilty, right? You don't want to risk your to-do list for your rest. But let's reframe that because rest is the most important item on your to-do list. Let go of the guilt. Rest is productive. And if you try to rest and you can't, that's okay. Just keep practicing. And here's the thing about rest being sevenfold. Even if your mental, like if your mind is racing and get, you can't calm your mind down, calm your body down. You can do the deep breathing. Now, I mentioned box breathing. There are a couple of things you can do for deep breathing. Box breathing is when you breathe in for 4 slow counts, hold it for 4 slow counts, let it go, exhale completely for 4 slow counts, and then hold it out for 4 slow counts. So that's like doing a box with your breathing. But my grandfather used to say, an empty bag can't stand. Now that's when we had those brown paper lunch bags. And, if the bag didn't have something in it, the wind would just blow it away. But when we are depleted, then we really can't perform our mission. So rest is important. So Just a little cheat sheet, right? Tech boundaries. Set your phone to grayscale. I don't even know what that is for a week, but you can silence your notifications for 24 hours. Dedicate an hour, an analog hour to your physical reality. Read a paper book or notice it says paper book, not an electronic book, right? Do a puzzle or a craft. Sensory resets. Listen to binaural beats. And there are different programs that you have that will actually help you relax. Different apps that help you relax. Practice progressive muscle relaxation or grounding. Right? So in progressive muscle relaxation, you lie down, you start at your toes, you start at your feet, and then you move on up, just focusing and relaxing those areas. I just relaxed my shoulders. Okay. And then nourishment. I have a whole different article about the effects of your nutrition on the architecture of your sleep. So getting the 90 essential nutrients, avoiding the bad foods, avoid the foods that cause inflammation, and making a wonderful, nutritious meal. Put me in the pressure cooker and savor that meal with no screens in the room. I don't do that one so much. So we can even make a rest menu. So don't wait until you're running on empty. Jot down what works for you, and you'll have a go-to menu for different time constraints. So if you only have 5 to 15 minutes, you can do some box breathing, listening to piece of connected music. When I say connected music, I used to have a playlist. This was when we had cassette tapes, okay? So it wasn't a playlist. It was a cassette tape that had a series of songs that if I felt in a certain mood, I just popped that tape in, and it started with, you know, a slower, more mellow tone. And I can even think of one song that does that. Okay, I'm dating myself now, but I love this guy. I met him and I love his music. Chuck Mangione had composed a song called Hill Where the Lord Hides. That song, I could be in the lowest mood. I could be just feeling down, down, down. And I pop in that song, and that song changes my state. Paul Croto, thank you, Tony Robbins. It pulls me up out of that mood just within the space of the song. So it's an amazing song. All right. If you have a couple of hours, then yeah, take a nap, do some yoga, take a walk, do some of the activities that will fill that time with helping you to rest and reconnect. And then dessert, you can have the deep weekend reset. So clearing your schedule, go to the museum, go to a retreat, get that spa treatment or make your spa at home. But take the time to help your body and your mind to reset. So the deep rest protocol, this is something the article just kind of put together. So number one, check in. Ask yourself, how am I doing? What specific type of rest do I need right now? Is it a boundary rest? Is there a person or a situation that's encroaching that I need to just put up a boundary, right? Just check. Number two, preempt. Rest before the tank is empty. Don't wait for burnout. Number three, focus. Try not to think of the to-do list while you're resting. You're exactly where you need to be. I love that. But even if you are thinking of the to-do list, physically rest anyway. Number four, protect. Guard your boundaries. Don't scroll at night. The news, I love this. The news has no business. Okay, that's your area, that's your time. Now, in the article was talking about this winter wellness challenge, so it snuck into the slides. I didn't take it out. But any time of the year, you can do 30 days of wellness. So we're just focusing today on rest. But there are so many things that we talk about week after week after week, right? And every week I give you something to try. So ideally, we would just take the strategies each week and build on them, not just, oh, try this week and then try this that week, but we want to actually keep going up the ladder of our wellness. And sometimes it takes more than a week for something to stick. So oftentimes I will think of, okay, I'm going to do this for 30 days. I'm going to take this supplement for 30 days. I'm going to take this course for 30 days. Just put myself into a little fixed time where I'm going to focus on myself and fill in some gaps. So let's see, identify your personal gaps across the 7 types of rest today. Write down your go-to rest menu. And when you look in the article, I so encourage you to do that. It has so many options for you. Implement a daily self-check-in list. Sometimes you just can't even remember all the good ideas you had for your own rest. So make a little list. And then drop the resistance. Remember, for high performance, if you want to sustain your productivity, rest is so important. You are a complex being in an ever more complex world. Rest is your ultimate strategy. It's not a guilt trip. It's something you need to do. So hopefully that gives you a little rest, learning that you've got a superpower, 7-fold superpower, 7 types of rest. So thank you for joining me today. I'm DrLisa, and the red Corvette's getting ready to ride. Vroom, vroom. Those of you who are here to be live, let's talk about it. And those of you who are on the replay, thank you for joining me tonight. I love you all.